Today, we're going to dive into a story from the very dawn of humanity. It's a story that shows us exactly how some of the most destructive sins first came into the world. And believe me, the consequences are still being felt today. So let's jump right in.
So, what's this all about? Well, it all comes down to a really big question. How did the sin of zina, or fornication, actually begin? And who was the first person to ever commit it? This story has the answer. All right, to really get this, we've got to rewind the clock, way back to the time of Adam and Eve. When they were sent to Earth, it was a totally empty planet. So to get humanity going, God put a very unique and divinely ordered system in place. And the system God set up, it was actually super simple, but really clever. See, Eve would always give birth to twins, a boy and a girl, every single time. The rule from God was that the boy from one set of twins had to marry the girl from a different set. This whole cross-pairing system was the law, designed specifically to grow the human family. Okay, so this is where our main players come into the picture, Adam's sons, Habil and Cabil. Now, each of them was born with a twin sister. Habil's sister, she was pretty ordinary looking, but Cabil's sister, Aklima, she was said to be just stunning, exceptionally beautiful. And this difference, right here, is the tiny seed that's about to grow into a massive problem. So you see where this is going, right? According to God's law, Habil was supposed to marry Cabil's beautiful sister Aklima. But this is the exact moment our story takes a dark turn. This is where we see the first spark of a major human flaw, jealousy, totally fueled by desire. But Cabil, he wasn't having it. He just flat out refused God's command. His desire for his own beautiful twin sister was so strong that he actually declared, "No, I'm going to marry Aklima myself," completely going against the rule that had been set for everyone. And this is a huge moment. This is literally the first time in human history that a person's own desire stood up and challenged a direct command from God. The sources say this was the perfect opening for Satan. He saw his chance and just started pouring fuel on that fire of pride and jealousy burning in Cabil's heart. So Adam is in a tough spot, right? His son is openly defying God's rule. To deal with this, he comes up with a plan, a test. He tells both Habil and Cabil to prepare an offering for God. And the idea was, whichever offering God accepts, that will prove who is in the right. The decision was left up to heaven. And when you look at what they offered, wow, it tells you everything you need to know about what was in their hearts. Habil, who was a righteous guy, he sincerely brought the absolute best goat from his flock. But Cabil, he was so full of resentment that he just grabbed a bunch of spoiled, rotten grains and offered that. Their hearts were on full display. And then the answer came from the heavens, and it was unmistakable. A fire shot down from the sky and completely consumed Habil's offering, a clear sign that God had accepted it. Cabil's pathetic offering of rotten grains, it was just left there, untouched. The verdict was in. Habil was righteous. Now, you'd think this would be a wake-up call for Cabil, right? Nope, it did the exact opposite. Instead of humbling him, seeing his brother proven right just made that jealousy in his heart explode into this uncontrollable inferno of hate. He now saw his own brother as the enemy. And in the face of this murderous rage, Habil's response is just incredible. When Cabil threatened to kill him, Habil basically said, "Look, even if you try to kill me, I'm not going to fight back, because I fear God." It's such a powerful moment, showing you one heart filled with rage and the other with complete piety. But those peaceful words, they just didn't get through. Cabil was too far gone. Blinded by that envy, he followed his brother up a hill one day, and he struck him down. And just like that, the world's very first murder was committed. Satan had scored his first big, tragic victory on Earth. Okay, so what happens now? Think about it. This is the first time anyone has seen a dead body. Cabil is just terrified, totally confused, with no idea what to do. He ends up carrying his brother's body around for days. Then, the story says God sent 2 crows. Cabil watched as one crow killed the other, and then it dug a hole and buried it. It was like God sent him a teacher, in the form of a crow, to teach him what burial was. But this murder wasn't the end of the story. It was just the first domino to fall. After what he'd done, Cabil was terrified to face his father Adam. So He ran, and this single act of running away would kick off a whole chain reaction of new and even worse sins. So what does he do? He takes Aklima, the very person this whole thing started over, and they run away to the land of Yemen. And there, totally free from his father's rules and from God's law, he finally does what his desire had been screaming for all along. He commits the act of zina with his own sister, becoming the first human in history to do so. And once that door was opened, it was like a floodgate of corruption was unleashed. His heart was empty of faith. So he didn't just stop at being the first murderer and the first to commit zina. He went on to become the first person to worship fire, the first to make idols and worship them, which is known as shirk. And he basically laid the groundwork for all the false beliefs that came after him. So if you look at it, you can basically boil it down to these three massive categories of sin that he brought into the world: murder, zina, and shirk, or idolatry. And his descendants, they just carried this corruption with them, spreading it all over the world. Okay, so that's a heavy story from thousands of years ago. But why does it matter to you and me right now, today? Well, the lesson from this story is actually incredibly urgent for our modern lives. Let's take a look. It all ties back to this incredibly powerful warning in the Quran. The verse doesn't just say, do not commit zina. It says, do not even go near zina. And that one word, near, is everything. It's so important. So, what does going near even mean? It's not some giant leap. It's the small stuff, right? It's that one look that lasts a second too long. It's a casual conversation that starts to cross a line. It's a wrong thought you entertain, an innocent message you send. These are the tiny cracks where Satan gets his foot in the door, those moments where we tell ourselves, oh, it's no big deal. And this is where this ancient story just smacks you in the face with how relevant it is today. I mean, think about it. Technology and social media have basically put these temptations on steroids. A simple DM, a comment, a conversation that feels harmless. These are the modern-day paths that the story of Cabil is screaming at us to be careful of. So this all brings us back to one final, chilling question we have to ask ourselves. Cabil's entire legacy of corruption, all of it, started with just one single act of defiance, one wrong step, driven by desire. It really makes you think, doesn't it? How can one seemingly small, wrong step today completely destroy an entire life tomorrow?